Hi everybody, my name is Naomi Charlet and I am a UCEAP student peer advisor and I'll be taking over the Instagram today. My pronouns are she, her, and I am a fourth year student at UC Santa Barbara. I'm graduating this spring and I'm majoring in environmental studies and minoring in Spanish. And the UCEAP program that I participated in was an immersion program at the University of Chile or La Universidad de Chile in Santiago de Chile. So if you have any questions about studying abroad in Chile or studying abroad in general with UCEAP, or questions about what I do for my job as a student peer advisor, or questions about life in general, please drop them here and I'll do my best to answer them throughout the day. Okay, so for this question, I'm going to say it probably depends on which country and program you're talking about, but as far as the Chile programs, the application that I filled it out in December of the year before, and then I left in June and was there until the next December. And it was the same application that people who wanted to stay for the year filled out. The only difference is that there's an extra form that you fill out that says, do you want to have the option to extend your stay for the entire year? And if you want to have the option, then you can fill that out and say yes, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have to stay. So you can fill it out even if you're not completely sure if you want to stay for an entire year or just for one semester. Hope that answers your question.
Una piscina de zapatos. Mira. Oh, qué lindo.
Vamos a la piscina.
Oh, no sabes.
Okay, this is a great question. Yes, in my opinion, yes. Chilean Spanish is a lot harder than a lot of other dialects, but I also don't have a lot of experience with other accents or dialects, but a lot of people will tell you that yes, the Chilean accent is one of the hardest Spanish accents to understand. So it was a wonderful experience being there and getting to become better at Spanish in such an interesting country. So I knew that I wanted to do an immersion program for my study abroad experience because I'm a Spanish minor, but also just because I want to become better at my Spanish skills, because it's a great skill to have, be better at speaking and understanding Spanish. So immersion program means that you're going to take your classes all in Spanish and pretty much all your interactions are in Spanish. You're just immersed in the culture. And so the opportunities I saw for immersion programs were in Spain and in Chile. And I just chose Chile over Spain because I wanted kind of a non-Western, non-European experience. And I figured there's always an opportunity to go to Europe in the future, and I wanted to experience Latin American culture. It's a wonderful culture, I love it so much, and I'm super glad that I picked Chile. So the classes that I took were philosophical debates in Chile and Latin America, the theme of violence in a post-dictatorship Chilean narrative, and then also contemporary art. And my favorite class was the theme of violence class, It was about Chile's dictatorship period in the 1970s from Augusto Pinochet and the different aspects of violence that occurred. And we read a bunch of different texts, and one of my favorite books that we read was called Tengo Miedo Torero, or in English is called My Tender Matador, written by a Chilean author, Pedro Lemebel, and it was about the LGBTQ experience during the dictatorship and the different forms of violence that someone experienced during the dictatorship. It was a great class. One piece of advice I have for other students is to push yourself out of your comfort zone and try new things. You never know, you might discover a new hobby, or you might discover something new about yourself. If you push yourself out of your comfort zone, just try that club that you've been thinking about going to, or a class. Take that class that you think might be hard. You might discover that you love something new. And college is the perfect time to try new things, and it's never too late to get into a new hobby, so always just go for it. This is a great question. So for the first month I was in Chile, I stayed with a host mom, and she was an older woman who lived by herself, so I had a private room, and she made me breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and she cleaned for me, and it was a great experience. And then after that, I decided to find my own kind of apartment, and because I kind of wanted to like cook for myself and be a little bit more independent. So I found a place on Airbnb and ended up living with a really lovely Chilean woman who I'm still in contact with. So as I mentioned before, I went to Chile in June, which is the beginning of winter because it's in the southern hemisphere, and I stayed until summer started. So when I first landed there, it was so cold, and I didn't bring a warm enough jacket, so I had to buy a really heavy, really warm winter jacket. And then it started to warm up, and it became like summer, and it was such beautiful weather. So if you're going in the winter, I would say it's like a little bit colder than it is in like some places in NorCal, so definitely pack like a very warm jacket. This is another great question. I feel like in general, I felt pretty safe. Latin American cities tend to have a rep for being not as safe, but honestly, I felt like, if not more safe than I would feel like in like LA or in another city in the US. I think I felt more safe in Santiago. The main crime you have to look out for is having your phone stolen. So it's definitely not a good idea to have your phone in your back pocket, or your wallet in your back pocket, because that can get stolen, and that's pretty common. But other than that, like, I would walk around the city by myself all the time, even at night in the dark, and like I felt completely safe. It does definitely depend on which neighborhood or barrio you're in, but the ones I was primarily in were pretty safe. When I was choosing my program, I was kind of between Chile and Spain, and I just thought that I didn't really know anyone who was going to Chile, or didn't really hear about people going to Chile, whereas with Spain, I know that's a very popular place to go study abroad, and I kind of just wanted to try something different and unique, have a different experience, and what I knew about Latin American culture I really liked, and I kind of just wanted a non-Western experience, and so I chose. I would say try to meet as many people as you can. Chileans are super friendly, even on campus or outside of campus, just on the street. Try to meet people and try to get involved with the community. Like I said earlier, you can find dance classes or get involved with sports, anything like that that helps you get involved. As I mentioned earlier, I found a dance studio that I really like to go to. They offer dance classes like reggaeton, zumba, bachata fusion, and so I ended up taking a lot of classes there, which was so much fun. It was really great because I grew up dancing ballet, but I quit, and so getting to go experience different types, or like learn different types of dance, was so much fun. And Okay, that's all the time I have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for submitting questions and participating. Hope you enjoyed. And the previous slide I just posted a screen recording of how to sign up for office hours on the website. So if you have any more in-depth questions about studying abroad, feel free to book an office hours appointment with one of us, one of the peer advisors. Thank you so much for